Hello everyone, my name is Tom, and today The Owl House is the latest cartoon guilty of pushing the gay agenda. And at this point, we're pretty much getting to a place where this isn't even an agenda, and it's almost like this is a normalized representation of young people crushing on each other in media. Insane, I know. What are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna break it down through a timeline of events that took Amity from bully to love interest for the main character of the Owl House, Luz. So let's start with Luz's introduction right at the start of the show. I already kind of made a video about that when the show started, so I'll keep this brief. We basically meet Luz and see that she is very passionately nerdy and weird and is ready for the uphill battle of becoming a witch as a human, and the apprentice of the owl lady Ida. And then in Amity's introduction, we learn that she is a very highly disciplined and kinda mean character. And because Amity is showing animosity towards Willow, Luz empathizes with Willow, leading to Luz posing as Willow's abomination to help Willow succeed academically. But also, this takes the class's top spot away from Amity, which is a position that is extremely important to Amity and her sense of self. So when Amity starts to uncover the truth, that's her introduction to Luz. And this introduction tells Amity that Luz is someone who stands between her and the standard of perfection that she holds herself to. Amity is also a type of person who is such a perfectionist and is held to such a high standard from both the outside and internally that the idea of being nice and non-competitive is difficult for her to grasp. So while Luz sees Amity as a potential friend, Amity is looking at Luz as someone who is actively impeding her goals, which can also be how you feel when you start to develop feelings for someone. So when Luz formally meets Amity at the witch's convention, not convention, Amity rejects Luz's kindness because of this impression of her, and escalates things into challenging her to a duel. It's also revealed that Amity's magic teacher is Lilith, Ida's sister, who as we know is a cop, and Ida hates cops. Due to the pride of each sister and a weird vicarious living through their students thing, both of them cheat to win against the knowledge and wishes of both Amity and Luz. And the situation makes Amity angry and upset because she's been embarrassed in front of her desired future coven. So she blows up at Luz, blaming her because since she showed up, it feels like everything Amity has worked to build has been sabotaged by Luz's presence. But this meltdown of frustration and confusion actually leaves her open to seeing that Luz has a very uphill battle in trying to become a witch and has overcome the odds to do more than she should be able to, and is capable of working hard to keep moving forward in her journey, which is something that Amity can respect and may even admire. The next time Amity appears in the story, she is having a moonlight conjuring and doesn't invite Willow or Luz, which for the reasoning of relevance to this video, it tells us that even though she's willing to acknowledge Luz for her efforts, she doesn't really want any association with her and still feels a need to perform as this cold person who holds a certain social standing. Then we move forward to the library incident, which is when Luz has to return books to the library for Ida and happens to come across the fact that Amity reads books to kids, which shows us a much softer side to Amity because it's clear that she gets genuine joy out of doing this, doing something for other people. And then Amity's older sister and brother, Em and Ed, show up and swoop in to steal Luz away to be their partner in crime, which we see makes Amity really upset. But let's think about that for a second. Why is this making Amity upset? Is it because she wants nothing to do with Luz and now she has some association for her siblings? Maybe, maybe not, because she doesn't seem to spend a lot of time with her siblings, so I don't think it would matter much, but it also seems like they get a kick out of intruding on her business, so maybe that could be what's making her upset. But in hindsight, it seems more to be Luz is someone who Amity deep down wants to form a connection with, but doesn't have the skills in her social toolbox to do that. Then her older brother and sister, who we can conclude, based on what we've learned about her family dynamic, she must compare herself to, and is trying to live up to the bar that they set in their family. And then they come in with the social edge on her and use that to befriend Luz instantly. So while Luz is seeing this as an opportunity to understand Amity more and get closer to potentially create that friendship, Amity sees it as humiliating, as though Ed and Em just came in and took this formative opportunity that she was struggling to figure out how to navigate and stole it out from under her for their own gain. Because clearly Amity is extremely hard on herself, and we get some confirmation for this in the same episode when Luz comes across her diary. And what I took away from her entries is that Amity is mean to others because she is so mean to herself. When she writes about how she has responded to Luz so far, she says she doesn't want to come across as cruel, but she can't show weakness, which could be an early hint that she has feelings towards Luz and is afraid to be vulnerable about it. And not only that, but it also tells us that she's extremely hard on herself for how she treats others and isn't even sure how to stop, because if she does, that would be showing weakness. Weakness which she probably learned to hide from her home life due to an expectation to live up to the standards set for her, standards created in part by the success of her older siblings. So these same figures who have created this impossible expectation for her to live up to, which has provoked a lot of the abuse that she inflicts on herself, are now taking a potential connection that could help Amity start to show herself more kindness, and taking away one of the first people to make her believe that she might be worth that kindness. And just like always, her family is there to take away that opportunity for growth, just like they did with Willow, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But the point is, here's this opportunity for Amity, and her siblings have corrupted that, and she looks at Luz, and she feels disappointed, and thinks if Luz would rather be friends with Ed and Em than her, if those are the people she is drawn to, then clearly she's just a bully. But Luz this whole time has been trying to get closer to Amity, and trying to get her to open up, so she responds to this situation by ditching Ed and Em to go and find Amity, and save her from her favorite children's book character who has come to life because this is still a world of witchcraft and magic. And in the process of being in such a dire situation, Amity and Luz start to bond, and that gives Luz the opportunity to start reaching out and forming a relationship, which she does by lending Amity her Azura book, which she finds out these books not only exist in the Boiling Isles as well as her own world, but Amity also reads them, so which later opens an opportunity for Luz to see Amity again when she is finished with the book, and by the time she returns it, Luz has found a way to enroll in Hexside, but in order to get into the same class as Amity, Luz needs to know at least 2 spells. Which, let's look at this interaction real quick. Amity isn't sure if Luz is capable of more than 1 spell, and is telling her this because she wants to make sure Luz will be entering at the same level as her. And compare this to when Willow was struggling in Abominations, Amity's response was to dress her down, and draw attention to the difference in their capabilities. But here, Amity is trying to come down to Luz's level, and that's a big step in both their relationship and Amity actually opening up a bit to someone and allowing there to be a connection there. However, as for Luz knowing 2 spells, she does not know 2 spells and needs to go learn another one. So Ida takes Luz to the knee to train her, and lo and behold, Amity is there for siblings also training. And in this scenario, Luz lets her insecurity in Ida's training get to her, and she steals a training wand from Amity and accidentally uses it to anger a snow monster that kidnaps everyone in the vicinity with a name that starts with E. And Amity doesn't trust Luz to help her save them. I don't see this as coming from a place of hostility or disdain. It's more a situation of Amity caring about Luz's safety as well as everyone else's, and doesn't trust her ability to help or look out for herself, so she's viewing Luz as more of a liability, and ultimately Amity doesn't want to put anyone else important to her in danger. But Luz learns her new spell, and this gives her the ability to save the day and move forward in her journey to earning Amity's respect, which this improvement in Luz's skills also gets her into Hexside, and at this point Amity cannot control the fact that she is definitely starting to develop feelings for Luz. But moving on from that, let's get into Amity's relationship with Willow. Willow has become one of the closest people to Luz in her time on the Boiling Isles. As it turns out, Amity and Willow were close childhood friends, a development that comes from these magical photographs, and is a time that both Willow and Amity wish to forget. Amity wishing to forget so much that she tries to burn the picture and accidentally burns all of Willow's memory pictures, which erases her memories, and sets up an adventure for Luz and Amity to go on together, which brings the 2 of them together and puts Amity in a position where she has to open up in front of Luz. This moment being when we see the reason why Amity and Willow had to stop being friends, and it was because of pressure from Amity's parents over Willow being a late bloomer when it comes to magic, which is a whole other video in and of itself, but imagine the long-term effects of having your first best friend end things because you didn't progress fast enough. That's heartbreaking. So next we get to Grom, which is like Witch's Prom, and this is really where things reach their peak. Amity is chosen to be Grom Queen, which is actually not a good thing because it means you need to face Grometheus, a monster that can sense your fears and project them to break you down. Upon finding this out, Luz offers to face Grom for Amity because she sees how much stress it's putting on Amity to face her fear. So Amity and her older siblings help train Luz to face Grom, but at the moment of truth, Luz can't face the fear of her mother finding out that she's been training to be a witch this whole time, prompting Amity to step in and face the fear of rejection from an unnamed crush who she wanted to ask to Grom. Then Luz Luz tells her that she'll go to Grom with Amity instead because that's what friends do. Then they defeat Grom together to show that the two as a unit are stronger than they are on their own. And that's revealed that the person Amity was afraid to be rejected by was Luz all along, confirming Amity's crush on Luz. Following this is when we start to see Amity's behavior change a lot. She denounces the idea of valuing status over being a good person, and she also starts acting very shy and flustered around Luz. And there's very clearly feelings there even without the confirmation. But part of me also thinks that Amity doesn't think she's deserving of Luz's affection. Then at the same time, Luz is so loving and affectionate with no hesitation to show that love to Amity, which is real-world evidence contradicting Amity's negative perceptions about herself, and that seems to be helping to change those internal perceptions for the better. And next they play Grudgeby, which is like Quidditch from what we gather, and because Amity and Luz get so competitive about winning, Amity ends up getting injured, and that quite literally sidelines her for the rest of the season, as Luz goes on to deal with main plot stuff with Ida's curse and, you know, all that. But like, I mean, who cares about like that compelling main plot, bro? We're just here for the gay agenda. So this leaves us wondering, okay, what's the next season gonna look like for this relationship? Because we now know that Amity has feelings for Luz, and that happened with a lot of development over a pretty short period of time. And we also know that Dana Terra said that she's not writing a love story, but love will be included as it is when you're in your adolescence. That's just kind of being realistic to the situation. So there's a question of, will there be more building next season? Will Amity keep being shy about her feelings, or will we see the relationship come together and the two actually start to function as a couple instead of as a will they won't they? I'm not sure, but I guess we'll all have to wait and see when that next season comes. So in the meantime, let us know what you think in the comments down below, or you can find me at TommyPQM on Twitter and Instagram, or check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Roundtable Vids. If you enjoyed the video, give us a like, share this video with your friends, and if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications to never miss a video. If you're able to, you can support the Roundtable by hitting the join button to become a channel member, or you can support us on Patreon. As always, I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time. See ya!